Good morning, all. This is Jeff from WT Futures, and it is currently the 6th of August, and we're about to have a daily candle close. So I wanted to just provide everyone with a quick daily update. Let's have a look at how we finished up this daily candle and prepare a watch list for the rest of the day. And let's make a start. So we have 15 minutes exactly until the new candle. So we'll have a quick look at where we're at for the day, who's on top, and how they managed to be on the number one spot. And it's going to be, of course, due to relative volume. So let's start up the top here, and now let's just bring that into the center. So let's start up the top here with relative volume. And as we can see, near has had 274% relative volume. So by the end of the day, by the end of the candle, mathematically speaking, we would expect everyone to achieve 100% of their average volume. Obviously, that's never the case that anyone finishes exactly on 100%. Some are up and some are down. And it's usually the case that those with the highest relative volume are going to have a great day in terms of their percent change, and those that have had extremely low volume are not going to be the outstanding performers for the day. So straight up we can see near up 275% of its relative volume, and it's had an awesome day, up 17%. So let's just jump in and have a closer look at near. So here it is. It has, I think that's the highest score actually. Let me just check and see if near did have the highest score. Where are we? Second highest score. Okay, OP was still on top. So every pair gets a score based on its relative volume and its percentage move. So we'll come back to that in more detail soon though. So near score of 14, second highest score, up 17.11%. Its average daily change is 5%. So look at that. It's more than 3 times its average daily move. Whereas today, OP, which has an average of 10.73%, did move around throughout the day, but it's going to close down and sorry, slightly up, but extremely low percentage change of just 0.42. And volume, we can see near 275%, OP 167%, whereas Bitcoin hit its mark pretty much exactly 98%. So what do you get with an average daily of 100%? You get a fairly average percentage move. So it moves on average 1.78 per day, and Bitcoin's moved 2.64. Whereas down here, near has had 275% of its daily volume and has had a huge percentage gain as a result. So relative volume, just briefly, let's look at exactly what it means. So here is the daily chart for near. So let's just zoom right in at the end here. And let's have a quick look at the volume. So here's our volume candle. This orange line is the average volume, and we can see that this candle has essentially had double the volume that it would normally have, and we can see it down the bottom here. The volume 275% of average, and we can see the last 4 daily candles for near have all been above average. A few just squeaked over, and then we had a nice move on top there. This second indicator, this is actually the monthly average relative volume. So you can see all month near has actually been below average relative volume all the way through this area, and then it's just spiking up at the end here as we've had this great move. Down the bottom, for those that are interested, this is Heikin-Ashi candle colors. So it's often a great trigger, like just here where they all turned green, for example, could have been a potential entry moving up that way. Or once they all turned red, just here, um, red Heikin-Ashi candles on all of our time frames can often be a nice little trigger for the move down. So there we go. So there is our relative volume for near. Had a great big relative volume pump, double the volume we would normally expect from near, and it's had an awesome move up. Let's compare that with, say, let's have a look at, say, BTC. And we can see BTC hasn't met its average volume for the last week, and it's had a fairly flat week. Okay, when Bitcoin did have a great big relative volume move, we obviously saw a great big move in price there as well. Pretty much every time we have these relative volume pumps, we can see the price move. So that's why relative volume is such a great metric to use for detecting these triggers, these breakouts. So waves was the second best relative volume for the day at 242%. So let's have a look at waves. Okay, so this is daily chart we're looking at still. And down the bottom here, we can see volume. There's our average, and we achieved 243% of that average. So we had over twice the normal daily volume. So this blue line down the bottom here, our relative volume, that is the average. So we've doubled that. But we do have some warning signs at the moment coming on with all these red Heikin-Ashi candles. Okay, so there we go. So there's waves. And let's move through the rest of our settings here. How long do we have to go? 10 minutes to go till the close of candle. Down the bottom here, these are our daily candles, and we can look back and see every day three interesting things. Firstly, who was on top? So NEAR was on top today, and OP was actually down the bottom. We can see here the percentage change for OP is flat, and there's OP down the bottom. And the grey is the market average. So we can see that the market was actually up 4.43% today. Okay, so on average, out of our top 40 pairs that we have in this group, this is group one, with the top 40 pairs by market volume, daily volume, we can see that NEAR was on top, OP was on the bottom, and the market average was 4.43%. So we can look back and see back here on the 18th of July was the day that OP had a massive 41% move. Okay, and on that day, TRX was the worst performer. It was up 2%. Another huge day over here for OP, up 38%. And the worst performer that day on the 28th of July was ENS, down 2%. Okay, and then the green and red line in the middle here is just an EMA over the market average. So we can see we did have a bit of a pullback. We've recovered a little bit there. Market pulled back, and over the last few days, it has actually just started to lift up, especially today has given the market a little pop up at the end there. Okay, so let's that was the percentage change data we were looking at. Let's just have a look at relative volume down the bottom here across the whole market. There we go. How long do we have to go? 8 minutes till we get our new candle. Okay, and we can see ANC down the bottom in terms of relative volume. Only 13.5% of its relative volume it managed to consume today, and NEAR was at the top. And again, back here, 18th of July, the day that OP had its 41% day, it was up in terms of relative volume 988%. So massive relative volume pushes in for OP, and it has its biggest day in terms of price move. FIL back here on the 30th of July, a 1200% relative volume pump. And if you pull up an FIL chart and have a look at the 30th of July, you'll see the price move it had that day as well. Okay, across the market, we can see relative volume has just been pulling back slightly. All right, average change. This is so important. OP 10.72% on average per day. This is looking back 14 days. We can obviously change that look back period, but this is currently set to 14-day look back, and OP averaging 10.75 per day, as opposed to Bitcoin moving at an average of 1.78% per day. Pretty hard to really even trade TRX or Bitcoin or any of these pairs down the bottom here at the moment, seeing how low that daily move is compared to trading the pair that's on top, the pair that's the pairs up here. Looks yesterday or today, sorry, 12.6% move. It averages 5% a day, and it's had an awesome day today. But these are really the five pairs that we want to focus on, and then whichever ones are getting the best relative volume. And, obviously considering support and resistance and things like that to decide which of these becomes the best trade. The ones with the best average daily change are certainly the ones to have at the top of your watch list to keep an eye on. Now, based on the relative volume flowing in and the average change for the pair, each pair receives a score. So based on OP coming in third place and an average change of 10.75, OP did have the highest score, 18.14. But strangely enough, today it is actually at the bottom of the pack in terms of its percentage change. And let's just bring up OP again and have a quick look. Usually that's because there was a bigger move through the day, which ended up collapsing by the end. And we can see that is the case here by this huge wick here. So throughout the day, OP did actually move 15%. Okay, so that's what we're talking about with the average change. There's no chance Bitcoin has moved that much today from top to bottom of its wick. Let's have a look. That's where it proved me wrong there. 3.7% throughout the day. So although OP did end up having a fairly small change by the end of the day, it did receive the highest score because it's just straight out the best in terms of average change, and it was the third best in terms of relative volume. Short-term score, however, is weighted more towards the actual percentage change and relative volume. So with near scoring top marks for relative volume and receiving the top change for the day, it has the best short-term score, 49, compared to Waves, which came in second. Um, Waves on 14 for its score. So it's always good to keep an eye on these two scores, especially when you see a pair appear in the list twice, like near second place for our general score, first place for the short-term score, and it's been shining all the way through on our 6 EMA angle. It's first place. It's fifth place for its breakout strength, top for short-term, second for our general score, and we've spoken about the others here. Okay, how long do we have to go? 4 minutes. Okay, breakout strength. So BNB on top. Let's just have a quick look at a BNB chart. Okay, well, it certainly is pumping there. So that's our breakout strength on the daily, BNB on top. And to reverse that, let's have a look at the worst performer for our breakout strength, which is ANC. It's probably going to look pretty much the opposite. There we go. I'm not seeing a lot of strength there in ANC. So the breakout strength is surprisingly interesting and accurate to look at. Breakout strength. So considering the breakout strength when we look at OP on the daily, I mean, this thing has been completely breaking out way above its EMAs. Huge relative volume flowing in for days, just getting stronger and stronger. And it's the second best in the breakout scores. So all of this data is going to reset in just over 2 minutes when we get our new daily candle, and then we're going to start preparing a watch list to focus on for the rest of the day. So 6 EMA near on top. We were just talking about this a moment ago, but let's have a quick look at near. And where are we here? Near on the daily. Let me just confirm that. Near, yep, near's on top there. So near, so here's our 6 EMA, and that angle right at the tip there, that's what this score is based on. So right at the tip of that EMA, it's the angle right there. So near scores the highest angle. ENS is coming in second place. And again, that's the second highest angle EMA in the group of 40. Whereas we have a look down at ANC again. ANC 6 EMA is the flattest out of the whole group. Still up ever so slightly. Okay, and then OP is on top for our 50 EMA. So across the whole group, in terms of that general 50 EMA trend, that is the highest out of the group, OP. So there are our metrics: relative volume, percentage change, average change, general score, short-term score, breakout strength, and our 2 EMA angles. Let's just have a look at our breakout strength visualized here. It's great to see just the general market breakout strength. And there we go. We can see back here on the 17th, 18th, when the breakout strength across the whole market crossed through the center line. We can see these the lower end of our pairs have all been gaining strength, and we have actually had a pullback over the last few days, but generally the market strength has been increasing. Okay, since back here when we crossed over. All right, less than a minute to go, and the board will reset, and we will be able to watch the start of the new day. So here we go. So I might just jump across to view all pairs for a moment, just while we can see the data start to flow in. And I'm just going to grab a text file ready here. You might want to do the same, and we'll just make a note of the best performers right at the start of the session, as well as the best average change pairs for us to focus on. Okay, so back to our daily change. Okay, so as you can see, this is our new daily candle. Everything has defaulted back to 0, and it usually takes a couple of minutes for a bit of data to start flowing in. Let's jump back to our main board. And there we go, the board's starting to get a bit of color. So relative volume stored already less than a minute in, has already consumed just over 1% of its daily volume. So let's just start by having a quick look at storage. Okay, so storage, we're down here below our 200 EMA, and our EMAs are so flat here. Let's have a look at what we're running here, 250 and a 20, so flat that we're in a red consolidation zone. So on this chart, we'll see the top label change based on the status of these EMAs. So there's storage having a bit of a move. SAND has had the strongest move so far. Okay, so it's still not the most exciting pair to look at on the daily. Still way down in this red consolidation zone. Be interesting to see if we can get somewhere up above $1.41 here for SAND. So average change, OP on top, 9.44% on average per day. You'll notice that has just dropped, and that's because we're looking back over 14 days, and we've just our current day is 0, so it's just pulled down the average a little bit from over 10% to 9.44. But still, OP is the pair to look at if we do see some volume come through for OP. Then, as usual, it's going to be the pair to potentially have a huge day. Let's just bring this in. So we're 3 minutes in, so let's just bring this back to a 5-minute chart. Okay, so notice for OP, we are in a buy here on the 5-minute chart, and that's because our EMAs are all in sequence. Our fastest EMA here, our 20 EMA, is on top. Then we have our 50 EMA, and then our 200 EMA. So we are actually in a, oh, there we go. Now, the reason that's changed to an uptrend is we are actually detecting the RSI levels as well on each of these EMAs. So we can see all of our EMAs are in sequence here with these green dots, but this is the RSI status, and we are on our 50 EMA just losing a bit of strength. There we go. So it's just flickering there. So Keep an eye on these lights. These are 3 RSI levels, different look back lengths, and there are three at the status of our 3 EMAs. So we're looking pretty good with OP here. Let's just have a look at some range, some support and resistance levels here. So we're just tapping on our 15-minute 15-minute resistance, which is 0.5% away. And if we were to pull back to 5-minute support, that's 1.89% away. If we could get ourselves back up to these levels from yesterday, it's a couple of percent away, up to 6% to get back up to these highs, and 12% to make it back to the top. So it's going to be very interesting to see what OP does today. Let me just bring up my rolling VWAP. So this orange line, this is the volume weighted average price. So running on a constant 24-hour rolling level. It doesn't. This particular VWAP doesn't restart at the start of each session. If we want to see the VWAP from the start of the session, there we go. Where did that go? Perhaps I've turned that off actually. Let me just check. Oh, there it is. All right, that's a nice little mystery for me. Let me just reset it. I'm not going to be able to stop until I've solved this, so just give me a sec. All right, there we go. Apologies for that, everybody. So there is our VWAP level, and as you can see, we're just been bouncing off VWAP there, and then that is the rolling level. So notice that at the start of each day, at the start of each daily candle, our VWAP levels meet our daily VWAP, and because our rolling VWAP also coincides at the same day, they meet at the exact same point, and then they break away again for the rest of the day. So VWAP is so important, and I don't like to just disregard it at the start of a new candle just because the new VWAP kicks in at the start of a session. I still like to know what that previous level was. Might be able to show this in more detail on another chart. There we go. So this was the all-important VWAP throughout the previous day, and then all of a sudden at the start of this session, it jumps up to a new level. But I always like to just keep an eye on what the actual VWAP level was right through the previous day. I find it still relevant, as we found here. We had a beautiful bounce off the rolling VWAP. Down here, we used it as a bit of support and resistance. Back up, retest. Okay, let's get everything back on here. All right, let's see how our day's coming along. And let's start making a bit of a note of a few pairs to keep an eye on. So obviously OP will be at the top of the list with the average change of 9.5. I'm also just going to add FIL to my list as the second highest pair for average change. So that's OP and FIL. BSV currently has the best relative volume rolling in, so we'll definitely just pop BSV on the list. And I'll grab the second highest as well, so that would be XTZ. Current percentage change is SAND at the top of the list. Won't worry about EOS just yet. In terms of the general score, XTZ, we already have XTZ on the list, and BCH, so not much data yet, but I will pop BCH on there as well. short term XTZ on top, and then near, but we have quite a few others with that same score, so I won't even include near. To say, well, near was the best performer yesterday, so let's leave near on the list. It's also the current best performer to the downside there, so the market is actually opening lower here, down 0.32%, 9 minutes in. So with that in mind, obviously near will keep on the list there, and OP we already have down zero point 0.8. ENS, now did it show up here somewhere as well? No, that's okay. Waves. No. So OP, FIL, BSV, XTZ, SAND, BCH, near, and breakout strength, BNB still on top. And we have OP there, and ENS. ENS is the third best breakout, and it's also the third worst performer there. So I will just include ENS. I mean, we want to get onto these moves as early as possible. So if it's only just starting its pullback, I'd like to have a quick look and maybe get involved. Okay, worst breakout strength. I mean, we'll pop ANC on there if it's going to be a down day. ANC is certainly going to be part of that. So near, we already have near on the list. It currently has the strongest 6 EMA. We have near, we have ENS. Looks is showing up in a few spots here as well, so I will also add looks. And the weakest 6 EMA angle, XRP. So I will just pop XRP there as well. And the 50 EMA, we have OP, we have ENS, people, third strongest 50 EMA. I will have a quick look at people. Then we have ANC. Now the weakest 50 EMA ANC, of course, but GMT, if we are going to have a down day, then the second weakest 50 EMA is something that might be worth having a look at as well. All right, so there is our watch list. OP, FIL, BSV, XTZ, SAND, BCH, NEAR, BNB, ENS, ANC, Lux, XRP, People, and GMT. Now, perhaps I can just pop those on the screen. What a great idea. And there we go. There's the watch list that I'll start my day reviewing. And when I review these, so if we just pick one, let's pick, say, GMT. So we'll jump across to the chart, fire up GMT, and a few things that I'll be looking at. Firstly, the sequence of these EMAs. So we can see this is perfect sequence. We're in a buy. We're on a 5-minute chart at the moment. We have our 6, our 50, and our 200. So I've been changing those. Yeah, 652, 20 on this chart, 650, 20, 50, and 200 on this chart. There's our rolling VWAP. You can see we're way up above our VWAP, which is great. EMAs all in sequence. These little triangles are letting us know when we have strong RSI pumps. And each time we get one of those, because we actually have 3 RSIs of different lengths that trigger these pumps, and so we can see they usually result in a fairly strong move. So obviously the problem is here is how you're actually going to get in and trade this. Let's just see how far back we're looking for any other resistance and support levels. So we're just completely tapping on our 15-minute there. Let's bring in some 1 hour and 4 hour. Okay, so 0.3% till we get to our 4 hour there. So we're right on top. So personally, when I look at a chart like this, it seems to be performing well, but we're right up against our resistance levels. So personally, what I would normally do is bring this back to a 10-second chart. If I feel that we are looking at a strong pump here that I want to be part of. Then I pull back to a 10-second chart, keep a really strong eye on relative volume levels and wait for these relative volume pumps. Okay, and down here as well, these green ones. And obviously I want to make sure that all of my Heikin-Ashi colors are in line. So right now, Heikin-Ashi wise, 1 minute right through to the daily, we're all green, which is great. And there we go, here comes a nice little volume pump, relative volume pump. So we're on a 10-second chart, just really having a close look at this. And what I'd be doing here is waiting until we get above that 4-hour resistance and see if we can come back and test it and break through it. And there's no reason why we can't do that. I mean, this was all the same. This was all resistance down through this area, which has just been pushed up and up and up. This 1-hour support is new. Sorry, 1-hour resistance is new. It's only just been breached all the way through these candles. So there's no reason why it can't come up, retest, and keep going. So that's GMT. I'd be keeping a close look on this level. And, we could even just set a little alert on that level for price crossing that level only once. Okay, and let's have a look at another one. Let's try, say, FIL, which wasn't outstanding in terms of its final result yesterday, but let's just see how it's looking today. Okay, so let's get back to a decent time frame here, back to our 5-minute. Okay, so we're certainly sitting here above our VWAP, which is good. Our EMAs are in sequence on the 5-minute, but it's letting us know we're in an uptrend rather than a buy. And the reason for that is although our EMAs are in sequence, firstly, the top EMA, the 6, is actually curving down, which is why we're getting a red dot down the bottom here. So 2 of our EMAs are okay, but 1 of them is a problem. And our RSI levels across the board are a problem. And that's why price is pulling back here. 0.78 up to our 1 hour and 4% up to our 4-hour resistance. So potentially there's a bit of a move to be had here with FIL. It's all going to come down to its level of relative volume though, and we can see it's currently quite low. So we're on a 5-minute chart, we're 2.5 minutes in, so mathematically speaking, we should be at 50% of our relative volume. Okay, and we're at 18%. So if we want to have a closer look at that, we can see down here, that's where we would be in terms of volume if we were at our average, and our volume is just right down the bottom there. So these last 3 5-minute candles have all been below average volume. So let's keep an eye on FIL. If volume does pick up, and if we can at least breach this 1 hour and make a bit of headway towards the 4-hour, there's potentially some room there. Overall, this is based on 4-hour relative volume. We can see over here 4-hour. So 4-hour relative volume speaking, we are actually starting to pick up. Heikin-Ashi, we've picked up our 1 hour, 4-hour, and daily. If we were to get a 5 and a 15 in the green, pick up a bit more relative volume, FIL could be a good contender there. SAND, let's have a quick look. So 5-minute SAND is on a buy, sitting right up the top of our resistance though. Last couple of candles, relative volume hasn't been huge, but we're definitely looking good ever since we crossed over the center line here for our 4-hour relative volume at 845. We've had a pretty good run there, 3%. So how much room does SAND have here? Let's pop on some daily support and resistance there, and 4.6% up to the top, back to the 31st of July. So that's not out of the question. Potentially a bit of headroom there. 5% down to 1 hour support. So on this 1 hour candle, we're only 20 minutes in, but SAND has used 50%, 53% of relative volume. So you can see our last candle here, we broke the midpoint there. So we've got a green relative volume candle down here, and here we're working our way. Okay, well, let's leave it there. Let's see if there are any other interesting changes. BSV is picking up its relative volume. So as we can see, we've had quite a bit of volume level there. And I'm going to pop the live feed up today. So if you want to tune in for the rest of the day and keep an eye on things with me, pop up to the YouTube channel. Have a great one. See you tomorrow. Bye.